Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way, find a way.
Hey, it's Christoph Wrights of the Poet Life Podcast. And on tonight, I have a special guest. His name is Jeff Young, better known as Backpack Jeff. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How you feeling?
I can't complain, man. If I did, it wouldn't help any. Yeah, man. No, I'm good. Life is good. Family's good. So, everybody's healthy. So there's no complaints on my end, bro.
Hey, Wale said, as long as the family's all right, we're going to be all right. So
that's it.
That's what matters.
Most definitely, man. Let's talk, man. Let's talk. It's been a while. You and I talk a lot on social media, but we just recently had a cool conversation over the phone, and we were talking about a lot of things, right? But two things that stood out were two words. Start with C's. Consistency and collaboration, right? That was like the common theme of our conversation.
Yeah. And you know what? I think right now is the time for both of them, especially starting a new year. You want to be consistent. You want to make sure that you on your P's and Q's. And that's one of the things that I learned from Gary Vee is he talks a lot about stealing attention and constantly creating content. And so now, literally, because of COVID, because we can't go out as much as we would like to, literally all I do is work and create content. And I remember I used to make so much of a fuss about, I can't make content. I don't have enough content to make. But now that I'm forced to, go into my bag, there's nothing but content that I have. And so I just get an opportunity to do so many things that I wish I would have done. And now the trick is going to be when the world opens back up, how do I stay consistent with creating the content that I'm creating and, doing all of the stuff that I normally do in terms of, going out and supporting open mics and stuff like that.
Right. So you spoke of open mics, right? I know you. Not a lot of people on this podcast may know you, right? So tell me what you do, man. What's your craft? What's your purpose in life?
So for me, motivational speaking is definitely one of the things that I believe is my purpose. Pouring back into people is definitely my purpose. I truly believe that the more people you can help get what they want, the more that you can have what you want. And so what I try to do, man, is I try to pour that energy back into other people to help them reach whatever they believe their full potential is. And for me, I kind of fell into poetry, man. It was kind of weird. It was like, I was thinking to myself, okay, when I go out to these schools, what is it that I can use that will touch these kids that they will actually listen to? You know what I mean? Because when a lot of kids hear, hey, we got a speaker that's coming in to speak to you, they'll be sitting back in their chair like this. Oh my gosh, here come a speaker. But then when you can hit them with a poem, and they're like, wait, what did he just say? Okay, I like that. And so let me pay attention. And so I just happened to get really good at poetry. I've been on the nationals team. My first year of doing poetry, I went to a nationals tournament. My second year, I went back. I had an opportunity to join the nationals team. I didn't end up going. But yeah, man, poetry is my love. I love poetry. I love what it does. I love how it gives me the opportunity to express myself. Like before, when I was younger, I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't know how to say the right words to say exactly how I was feeling in any particular moment. So what I would do was I would literally send someone a song and be like, yo, listen to the chorus and this is how I feel. Or like fast forward to 2 minutes and 21 seconds and listen to 2 minutes and 46 seconds. And that'll tell you exactly how I feel. So I'm happy now that I can be that for someone else.
Okay. So you spoke about your first year, second year. When did poetry happen for you?
When did I know that this was something that was going to be me?
Right.
You know, this it's an interesting story. I was my first year doing poetry. I was in a poetry grand slam. This is to figure out who's going to be on the national poetry team. And this guy, he did a poem about trauma and how everything wasn't going to be okay. I did a poem right after him about trauma and how everything was going to be okay. Now, I broke some unspoken rule that I had no idea about. You're not supposed to contradict someone else's poem who just went before you. I didn't know this. I'm like, I'm just doing the poem that I believe is going to get me the best score. And I know this poem that makes people cry is going to give me a really good score. So I did this poem and it turned into this big thing. You know, I ended up making the team. But the poems that I sent them, man, they destroyed all of the poems. They was like, all of these are terrible. You know, I was like, like, whoa, hold on. Like, what? All of these are bad. I gotta go back and rewrite all of these. Yeah, I had to go back and I had to rewrite them. And they challenged me to get out of my box. And so I was like, okay. And at that, like, I was so disappointed at that point that I stopped writing completely. Like I stopped writing for like 2 months, 3 months. I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this no more. This whole poetry thing, man. I was like, I wanted to do it. I can just do the speaking. But then like 2 months later, I was asked to host a gala in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. I hosted a gala and there was a billionaire and his wife that was there. They own Nemacolin Woodlands in Pennsylvania, and they own 84 Lumber. And 84 Lumber is like a Home Depot, but it's really big in like that Midwestern kind of area. And they own that, and they're huge art collectors. And I did that poem, and him and his wife came up to me afterwards and was like, that poem was so beautiful. I would love to buy a copy of that poem from you. How much would you sell it to us for? And at that moment, I was like, huh? You want this poem? And like, you have a famous art collection, you know that, right? Like this, I'm just some, little guy. And I sold a copy of that poem. And I'd only been doing poetry for like 5 or 6 months. I sold a copy of that poem for $300. And I knew then that I would never let someone take my pen out of my hand ever again. And that just because someone didn't like this poem, it doesn't mean that everyone doesn't like the poem. This poem is for who it's meant for.
Right. Yeah. So that showed you that your poetry, your craft has value.
Yeah. It showed me, and then it put it pushed me to want to do better. And so now when I went back into competition and competitive poetry, I approached it with a different mindset than I had ever approached it before, because I had a bigger purpose. You know what I mean? I'm not up here just telling my story. Like even in one of the poems that I wrote, I said, I'm not up here just telling my story. I'm telling the story of every person that I've ever seen struggle. And so again, sometimes people have a hard time expressing themselves. And so what I do is I'm the person that, hey, I want to tell your story. Will you allow me to tell your story? And they allow me to tell their story. And, I can put it in a very expressive format, and, they can release from it.
Yeah. I have that skill set as well. I'm able to speak in someone else's voice, be it male or female. I simply need a conversation with that person or a family member if the person is no longer, with us, right? And I'm able to translate what was said in that conversation into whether it's a third person or even first person. And I've done that, for funerals, weddings, and you know what I mean? So it's definitely a power in being able to translate someone's words and voice. So most definitely that's an awesome gift to have, man. And so how young were you? Like, what are you, like 37, 38 right now? What?
Nah, man, 31.
Oh, sorry, I'm 38. Okay. All right, never mind.
I want to look like I'm, No, so
I thought we were the same age, man.
No, I was how old was I when I wrote my first poem? 26, I believe. So I've only been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now.
Really?
Yeah, and you know what, man? I'm so glad that I was given this gift when I was, because if I had been shown this, that I had this ability when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, I don't think I would have used it the way that I'm using it right now. Like, I had to go through a whole lot so that I can get here, so that I can take these stories and actually put them out. Like, my first poem is a poem called Success. And it was about it was when Kobe Bryant first, and speaking of that, this is the 1 year anniversary of his death, so rest in peace to him. But it was the day that he decided he was going to retire from basketball. He wrote like this letter to basketball and gave it personification, stuff like that. Basketball, you've been there for me. Basketball, you taught me so much in life, and all of these other things, the same way that Michael Jordan did. And I said, well, okay, I'm not playing sports right now. But what is it that I love as much as I used to love football? And I was like, success. And so I wrote a letter to Success saying, I'm sorry that I chose your sister, who was failure. And I only chose her because she was quote unquote easier. You know what I mean? Success, you made me work for you. And I knew I had to work for you. And I'm sorry that I chose her over you, but I really don't want to be with her. I want to be with you. And so I got out of that relationship with failure and got into a relationship with success. And so that was my first point. I wrote that poem literally on the road. I was like driving in Texas, and all of these lines just started coming to me. And I was like, yo, I got to write this down. What do I write this down? And I GPS to Walmart, went to Walmart, and went into Walmart, started writing down in the book before I even bought the book. I was like, I just got to get these lines out of my head. And that's what happened.
So that was in letter form or in poem form?
It was so my writing process is kind of weird, right? I kind of like get, like, if you think of a poem as 20 pieces to a puzzle, I'll have piece 1, 6, 9, 11, 12, 13, 17, and then they won't even be in order. And it's like, I gotta like, okay, no, this one goes here, and then I got to read it, and then where am I trying to go with this? All right, where am I trying to? So it was kind of in letter form. It was like just saying success. I apologize, and I'm sorry that I chose your sister, but now I want to be in this relationship with you.
So it was like a poetic letter in
yeah,
somewhat. And so with that, did you see that? Okay, I somewhat have a gift here. Or did someone tell you that this is pretty awesome? You should start writing. Like, what was the connection? What was the discovery?
It was my level of excitement over how good the poem was. I was literally selling insurance, and people were supposed to be coming into me so that I can, do their insurance with them. And I was on the phone with my mom, my aunt, my cousin, my grandmother, my brothers, my sister. Like, yeah, can y'all wait a second? I'm on an important phone call. Yo, you got to listen to this poem that I just wrote. Like, it's so good. Like, tell me what you think about it. And so I'm calling all of these people, and it was my level of excitement. Like, I hadn't been that excited about something personally in a long time. And so that's when I knew. I was like, all right, this is it. Like, this is definitely a gift. The way it was so easy that I was like, this has to be a gift. Like, you don't come across something that you do so effortlessly without, being able to call it a gift.
Yeah, that exactly. Yeah, most definitely. So, all right. So now that you've discovered that you have the gift of poetry, right? What's your next step? Are you going to the open mics now? Or are you simply just writing and you're starting off as a page poet?
No, so for me, I immediately started going into open mics, and in Pittsburgh, it's not really as many open mics as it is here. That's one of the biggest reasons why I moved back to the DMV area, is because the appreciation for art here is like nowhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, and I don't know too many states that does poetry outside of this, but I really don't know too many states that has an open mic 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now you're gonna walk into very many other states and say I can go to an open, like it doesn't even matter. So I started hitting the open mics that were down in Pittsburgh, and everybody started loving them. And then I wrote it was when I wrote my first love poem called Mrs. Right. And in the poem Mrs. Right, there was this one line. Like, you ever been in a zone where you write and write and you write that one line where you like, this is the one. This is the line that's going to get them. This is the line that's going to hit. And then when it hits, it literally blows up like bigger than you were expected. And the line was, I'll kiss on the lips in the morning. I don't even care, because even her morning breath is a breath of fresh air. And when they heard that line, they just exploded. And I was like, okay, I'm getting better at this. Okay, I'm getting better at this. And so I started writing. I'm writing in my journal. I'm writing as much as I possibly can, and I'm memorizing. And I'm going to the open mics, and it's about being consistent. Like, everything that I did, it was just about being consistent. Always had my pen to the pad, except for that one time where, that one little moment where I had that little hiccup, but I had a strong reminder. And then I just stayed consistent with it, man. Even when I got back here, I said to myself, I'm going to make a name for myself. And the biggest way that you make a name for yourself is being consistent. So when I first came back, I went to every Busboys and Poets for like 3 months straight, so that people knew who Backpack Jeff was. So that when I walked in, they was like, yo, you get on the bike today? Hey, look, you haven't heard this dude. He's going to be really good. You're in for a surprise. You're in for a treat. Wait till you hear him. Those were the things that I wanted to hear from people. And people easily started to recognize me, because it's like, who is this dude with the backpack now? Like, yo, have you ever heard the Backpack dude? Like, what? And it became like a staple. You know what I mean? Literally, like, so much that I remember one time I took my backpack off to go to the bathroom. I seen someone coming in from out of line. They were like, "Backpack, where's the backpack at, man?" And I'm like, "It's over there. I'm just in the bathroom." They're like, "Oh man, you can't take it off? Like, what's going on?" I'm like, "Well, let me go get my backpack, and then I'm gonna go to the bathroom." So yeah, it started like that.
So was it a strategy with the backpack, or you just always had a backpack on?
No, so it became a strategy. Let me just say that, because I wanted to start recording my poems out in the out in the public and stuff like that. And I was tired of carrying cameras, tripods, bottled water. I was tired of carrying everything. I went to Walmart with my brother one day, and I still have pictures from that day, very first backpack. And I was like, oh, man, let me just grab this backpack. And I was like, oh, this one's good. And I was like, I'm gonna call myself Backpack Jeff. And I was like, hold on, wait. It's got a ring to it. I was like, it's got a ring to it. And so I was like, okay, Backpack Jeff, this makes sense. And then I was like, okay, where can I go with Backpack Jeff? And so then the jokes came with Backpack Jeff. Every time I get on stage, people would sing backpack, backpack, the little Dora the Explorer song.
Right.
And so I'm like, all right, what's my joke? Like, how can I use that to my advantage? Okay, ladies, I know you all want to know what's in my backpack, don't you? No, I know you want to know, because you always ask me what's in the backpack. Everyone asks me what's in the backpack. So you ever watch Dora the Explorer? They go, yes. And I'm like, well, what does Dora carry in her backpack? And they say a map. And I go, well, it's a map to your heart in my backpack. And then it's cheesy, it's super corny, but they're like, oh, but it kind of, again, it started to work for me. And then it became something that was easily recognizable for a lot of people. You know what I mean? And so it's that one thing that separated me from other people. Like, okay, I can recognize him because he has the backpack on. And then it did become a tactic for me.
That's good. That's good. That's good stuff. All right. So with the backpack, when we're talking about consistency, right? And in collaboration, Did you always know that consistency was key, or did you have to learn that?
You know, I learned that consistency was key, not from poetry, but from other parts of my life.
Right.
And like when I played sports and I played football, I knew I wasn't as consistent as I could have been or as I should have been. And because of that, I was a good average player.
Mm.
And as I was getting into motivational speaking, I hear it in my mind because I played it so much. Like I literally went through like a year and a half where I played nothing but inspirational videos, and I hear it in my mind. I already know what giving up feels like. I want to know what happens if I don't. Like I already know what giving half effort or C effort feels like. I want to see what happens if I really approach something with maximum effort, maximum potential. What's going to happen? What's going to be the result of that? And the result of that was Nationals my first year, Nationals my second year, paid gigs, opening up for Music Soul Child and Chrisette Michelle. Now in a partnership with Hasbro and Special Olympics, selling a poem for $300 in my first 6 months. That was and I'm like, the reward in consistency is unmatched. I mean, you can't. It's just unmatched. You can't get better than that.
Yeah, yeah. So, what were some of the tactics that you took and put in your backpack to hone in on that consistency? Right, like what helped you? What helped you become more consistent in what you do? Like, did you put more things on your calendar? Right? Did you write more in your journal to help you stay consistent? Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like because you can say that you want to be consistent and right, and you can speak it into the atmosphere, but until you put things in place to whether it's reminders and things of that nature, you know what I mean? It's like null and void almost. You're kind of fighting against it if you don't, make those moves.
You're absolutely right. I think what I did was remember at this time I was in the beginning I was doing so much motivational speaking and I was being provided so many opportunities in speaking that I was forced to write other poems because it was like literally one of my friends I had to write a mental health poem a new mental health poem every month to help start his conversation off for a conversational event that he had. And so because he trusted me to do that, I always had to stay in my bag, writing poems and stuff like that. And it forced me to, number one, to be creative, to tell the same story or a similar story in multiple different forms. And with the motivational speaking, it also forced me to, okay, what can I write that is that's applicable to the kids that I'm going to be speaking to? And then I said to myself, I need to start telling more people about me. How can I tell my story? So I started tapping into the things that I've been through. What it was like going through college, what it was like being raised by a single mom who had 4 kids, what it was like to have my dad there, but, a lot of times where I really wanted him there, he may not have been able to be there. So what were those experiences like? So what kept me consistent was opportunities and wanting to get more in touch with myself and my story.
Okay. When it comes to your story, did you speak to that when you were on stage? Like, did you preface some of your pieces with your story, right? Or were your poems your story?
So, you know what? I didn't learn how to do that until I came back here, to be honest.
Okay.
I didn't know how to introduce, I'll say this, I didn't know how to feature until I came back here.
I see.
I knew how to get up on stage and do poems. I didn't know how
Right.
to like I didn't know how to walk you into my poem, and then by the time you realize I'm doing a poem, we're already like a minute into the poem. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Um, that's an art to be able to tell a story and walk you into that poem, and then you don't even know that it's a poem until you hear something like, "Whoa!" Like, wait, that was really poetic. Wait, he's doing a poem right now.
Right.
I didn't learn that until I came here, and then even how to close out a poem again with words, and then walk you into another poem. Those were things that I didn't know how to do until I came here.
And you learn those from the open mics, or you
Yeah.
linked with someone that kind of
Yeah.
helped you hone in on that.
Yeah, I learned those from the open mic. I'm a student, man. I'm a guy who loves information. I'm a people watcher, so I love watching people. To me, there's nothing more beautiful than watching a person operate in their craft.
Right.
Like even from watching the Poet Life podcast, you know what I mean? What is he doing? How is he doing it? Why does he have this set up in the background? How did he get this to look the way that it is? I learned just from watching, and I'm telling you, my mission when I came back here, when I went to the open mics at Busboys and Poets, my mission every single time was I wanted to be remembered in my 5 minutes of open mic time that I had. I wanted to be remembered more than the feature.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get, like, if they come up to me after the poetry thing, then I'm like, okay, I know I did, and I know my opportunities are going to come. But you got to be consistent. You got to make sure you're out there. You got to make sure that people are finding out who you are. You got to make sure that you are building a following for yourself. You got to make sure that you're doing all of these things, staying consistent. And then if you get to the second C of what we're talking about, collaborations, you have to be willing to work with people. You got to be willing to talk to people. You know what I mean? Like if you're not putting yourself out there and willing to have a conversation with people like yourself, with people who are doing what it is that you want to do. And so that's what I did. I went out and I had conversations with people. When I first came here, I asked Whiskey Girl, I said, who are the people that I need to know in the DMV area as far as open mics go, as far as poetry go? Where do I need to go? She said, go to Spit That, go to Pure Poetry, go to Busboys. These are the people that you should know. Okay. Right. I started messaging people, hey, when's your open mic? I can't wait to come. When's your open mic? I can't wait to come. And everything took off.
Right. So when it came to your consistency and your collaboration, were you strategic in your growth pattern? Right? Did you say, I don't want to just go to open mics, right? I want to then start my own open mic?
Yeah, starting my own open mic was always the aim. I feel, I was just having this conversation the other day. I actually like hosting a lot better than I like performing.
I see.
And the reason why is because performing, it's like you got to remember these lines, and if you miss one, don't mess up. If you miss one, just keep going. They may not know that you messed up, which that's true, but you'll know. But if you do miss a line and you do kind of stumble or something, like it's going to be embarrassing. But like with hosting, you have freedom. There's there's just a level of freedom that you have. And I think I have like that gift of gab to where I can take anything and make it inspirational, make it funny, give it some sort of relatability to, what may be going on or what may have happened. And so, I looked at a bunch of the open mics that were happening in the DMV area. And I said, you know what? I want that. I can do that. And so I did. I mean, even like I was here a year. what was that, 2019. I was here a year and a half, and I opened up my own open mic. I started my own open mic, and I did it in a place that people were like, "Oh yeah, everybody." And it was in downtown. It's in downtown Silver Spring. People are like, "Yeah, they tried here, it didn't work. They tried to here, it didn't work." I said, "Well, other people tried it here, it didn't work. I didn't try it. How long ago did they try it?
Right.
You know? Oh, okay, all right. Well, that's cool. Well, I'm a different person. I'm a different breed. Like I know what it takes to get people out. This is again about being consistent. How do you get people to come and patronize your open mic? You know, every third Wednesday. Well, you got to be consistent. You got to go out to the open mics. You got to go out and support people. You got to come on people's podcasts. You got to go to other people's open mic shows. You got to be out there shaking hands and kissing babies. And that's how you get people to come to your open mic. That's the only way you're going to get people to come to your open mic. And it was very successful prior to COVID happening. I mean, we did 5, like, I remember the last show that we did was February 2020. There were so many people that were in this small, like we outgrew our space in 3 months. And there were so many people that were downstairs and they had nowhere to sit. We had to take chairs off of the rooftop and bring them downstairs just so that people could have an opportunity, have somewhere to sit. And it was one of them things where I was like, yo, I knew that this was going to be, and this was in the winter time. So this was like November, December, January, February when I started, because I started in September. So I'm starting it, fall, winter time. And if we're doing these numbers in the winter time, I can only imagine what we're going to do in the spring and the summer where, people are walking by and I'm like, hey, where you going? Oh, we're going down here. No, you're not. You coming in here. We're doing an open mic. Okay.
Right.
You're coming in here. We're doing an open mic. Come on, we're about to start right now.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to go. You don't want to go? All I wanted to change to show you that I want to waste your time. What? But if I'm going to waste your time, it's only right that you waste mine. And honestly, we can waste time together because every moment that we're not together just feels like a waste of time. So in these 3 minutes, Mrs. Wright, let me tell you what I would do if you were mine. Oh my God. See, right into a poem right there. And now they're like, I'm like, you like that, right? So just why don't you come in and just, have some fun with us, enjoy it. I mean, you're gonna go there, smoke hookah, eat some food or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do the same thing here, but you can be entertained at the same time.
Right.
And free.
That's good. You caught me off guard with that one. I wasn't ready. Nice. That's perfect. That's a perfect example. But it's also your consistency with a plan is a perfect example of knowing where you're going.
Yeah.
Or where you would like to go, at least.
Yeah. And you know what? The most successful people in this world, they know where they want to ultimately end up. They have no idea how they're going to end up there.
Right.
I think you ultimately know where the Poet Life podcast is going to end up.
Right.
You have no idea what the road is going to look like. It's a dark road, but I watched The Secret, and they said you can drive from New York to California in the dark with your headlights on, because all you have to do is see the next 200 feet that's in front of you. All you have to do is tackle what's in front of you, and don't worry about what's to come, because you're not even there yet.
Yeah.
You're not there yet. And that's what consistency is. Consistency is tackling this 200 feet and then the next 200 and then the next 200 until you ultimately reach your destination. And for me, I knew coming here, I knew immediately that I wanted a show. How do you get the show? Okay, let me scope out, see who I need to talk to. What do I need to learn? Let me find out, where do I need to go? Let me find out where I want to do it at. I don't want to do it in DC. There's a lot already happening in DC.
Saturated.
Where's there untapped potential? You know what I mean? Downtown Silver Spring, there's no one doing it out there. A couple of people tried to do it, but they didn't. Okay, well, you know what? To me, they weren't consistent enough. You know, what have we been
Right.
talking about this whole time?
Right.
They weren't consistent enough. So what I'm going to do that they didn't do is I'm going to be more consistent. I'm going to be right there. So when I went out, and I went out during the day just to eat at restaurants, talk to business owners. You know what I mean? I know when I sold insurance, I did business to business insurance. And so I know how to talk to business owners. I know their lingo. I know how they think. You know, I'm a good salesperson. So I know how to walk you down a road that I want you to walk down, but you believe you walk down on your own, and you got there and you're like, oh, this makes sense. And I did this myself. And I'm like, I kind of push you a little bit that way. So I know how to do those things. I know how to talk to them. So I knew exactly what it is that I wanted to do immediately when I got here. I just didn't know how I was going to do it until, you know, I got close enough to where I can see it within those 200 feet. And I was like, that's the road that I got to take right there.
Right. I'm learning that it's not about the how.
Yeah.
It's the what. What is it that you want to do?
That's it. And look, if you read the book, The Alchemist, when you are fully focused and determined on what it is you want, all of the world will conspire to give you what you want. You just have to trust it. The little boy, he was on his journey, you know, to learn his personal legend. And, you know, he said, you know, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. And the alchemist kept telling him, everything that you need to know, you will learn along the journey. Everything that you need to know, you already know. And anything else you need to know, you will learn along the journey. And the little boy kept saying, well, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to trust yourself. So in whatever it is that you're doing, and especially in this poetry thing, trust yourself. When you get up there on stage, I'm a very confident performer. I still get jitters and butterflies, you know, before I'm performing before someone else, you know, that hasn't heard me before. I'm like, whew. That's why I do my introduction in the beginning the way that I do it, because when I hear that laughter in the beginning, that's what calms me down. That's what brings me back here, because I'm like, okay, they like me. They're gonna, you know, they're gonna listen to me. They're gonna hear me.
Right, and get you in the groove.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. So as it relates to collaboration, what have you done to build your brand, and who have you collaborated with?
So in terms of collaborations, for me, the collaborations haven't happened yet. And the reason why they haven't happened is because right when things were kind of getting good for me, the whole COVID pandemic thing has happened. And the opportunity to collaborate was going to come from the open mic that I had, and the opportunities that I was going to be able to give and stuff like that. So it kind of got put on a pause for that, and I stopped writing as well. Like, for me, my motivation to write poetry comes from hearing poets like yourself, hearing you all on an open mic and saying, "Oh man, that was so good," and just feeling that energy, you know, that's in that room. And so I stopped feeling that, and so I stopped writing. And so now I'm kind of back in a groove. I'm re-inspired. I found a way to get inspired to write. I found a way to get re-inspired to, you know, do my podcast and, you know, talk to people like yourself. You know, me and Orville, we've done some things, but we haven't had an opportunity to kind of put those things out because, you know, the world kind of shut down so abruptly. Me and Chaos itself, you know, him and I, we were working on something. You remember the Same Girl song by Usher and R. Kelly?
Right.
We were going to do a Same Girl poem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were going to do a Same Girl poem. I thought that would have been, you know, pretty nice for us to kind of, you know, go back and forth about, you know, who he was dating and who I was dating. It's like, wait, are we talking about the same person?
Right.
Yeah, we were going to do that. But I'm more looking forward right now to providing opportunities to collaborate with people, or providing people opportunities to present what it is that they do to a wider audience.
I see. As far as your podcast,
as far as the podcast goes, and I want to collab. Like when I went to nationals, one of the things that I love, man, is seeing those tandem poems. Like I never seen that before. 4 people on stage, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like,
right.
Like, oh, y'all do this for real, for real.
Right. Like for real.
Yeah, like for real. Like I had no idea that this was a thing. So I would love to do something like that, and in collaboration. But I think I think it's more than just the writing. I think collaboration isn't just about doing poems with each other. I think collaborations is also about having conversations with each other, supporting each other, and teaching other people how to get better in their performance. Teaching other people like, hey, how to feature, because that was one of the things that I didn't know. So I think collaborations is more along the lines of how can we all help each other hone and develop and grow in our craft. And it could just be having conversations like you and I when we tried to do the Poets and Pool, you know what I mean?
Right.
To me, that's collaboration, because now we're back in that energy. You know what I mean? We're back in that in that synergy that we had, where it's like, yo, we're having conversations about how can we grow? What does business look like? What does marketing look like? Poetry is bigger than just the words that you say when you're in front of the crowd. It's up here. There's business, to it. If you want to run an open mic, oh man, the stress of running an open mic. You've got the longest running open mic in DC. It's what, 19, 20 years now, 20 something plus years?
Man.
The stress of what that's like. Are people going to come? Am I going to be in here doing this myself?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
All of those things, they absolutely scare you. But when you can collaborate with people, when you have people that support you, that's when you know that you have something special and you're on the right track.
Most definitely. So tell me about Chrisette Michelle and Musiq Soulchild.
Yeah. So man, I got an opportunity. It was kind of like gift wrapped to me to open up for Chrisette Michelle and Musiq Soulchild. I hosted and opened up, and so I obviously went before them, and then I went in between them as well. And man, Chrisette Michelle sang beautifully. I mean, it's like she opens her mouth and an angel just walks out. Musiq Soulchild, he is a performer. I mean, you can tell why he's Musiq Soulchild. He gets the crowd involved. He's a heck of a singer. He's got levels to his voice where he's got levels to his voice. He's a heck of a performer. And they're super down to earth. But the moment that stole the night for me was I was on my way home, and Chrisette Michelle came on. Song came on, If I Had My Way, and I was like, oh man, why didn't she sing this song? I could have sang this one,
Right.
And so I said, you know what? Let me go on let me follow Chrisette Michelle, because I don't follow her. So I look up her name, and I click on her page, and it says follow back, and I'm like, this is the wrong Chrisette Michelle. Like, let me find a real one. So then I went back and tried to look at it again, and I was like, okay. And I went and I clicked on the heart on my phone, and it said Chrisette Michelle followed you 10 minutes ago. And I was like, ah! And I didn't plug my Instagram. I didn't plug anything. So she
had to go find you.
Had to go and find me. And when everyone, at the end of the thing, people got to sit down and talk to her and music and, get shirts signed and stuff like that. She said that line that you have in that poem, I'll kiss on the lips in the morning, even her morning breath is a breath of fresh air. I was like, yo, an hour and a half after I did that poem, you still remembered that line. That these are all just confirmation messages and proof of what consistency is.
Yeah.
And proof of, if you continue to work on your craft, you have no idea what's around the corner. I haven't. So right now I'm working on, again, opportunities. Opportunities have afforded me the reason and a desire to be consistent. Right now I'm working with the Special Olympics and Hasbro to write a poem for a school in DC who is getting an award from the Special Olympics. And it only happened because, again, I'm supporting other people. I'm going out to other open mics. Someone saw me at an open mic, and they a year and a half later, 2 years later, hey, I work for Special Olympics. We're doing this award. I would love to have you write a special poem for this. Well, who are some of the other people that we're looking for some influential people in the DC area? And I'm like, okay, well, who are the other influential people that you're looking for in the area? Because I don't think, I try to be as humble as I can. I don't think of myself as, that, yeah, we're trying to get like Michelle and Barack Obama, some Wizards players, some Mystics players, some Capitals players, some Washington football team players, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Washingtonian, some of the I'm like, wait, those are influential people in DC. I'm just this regular guy. I'm just this regular guy. But you want me in the same light as you want those people. I mean, I don't know. Like I can't. I mean, it was just amazing, man. It was just amazing. I've had someone message me and tell me, hey, I didn't even have to audition for a lead role in a play because I performed so well. She sent me a DM and said, hey, I have this play that's happening. You're my lead role. That performance was amazing. Excuse me? Yeah, we want you for the lead role. Okay. In plays they sing a lot. Yeah. Okay, I can't sing at all. No, that's okay. We don't want you to sing. We want you to write poems, and we want you to, instead of going into singing, we want you to go into poem. So I'm gonna get a playwright credit too? Yeah. And we're gonna pay you for it. Excuse me?
Exactly.
All of this from consistency. All of this from going out and putting myself out there.
I posted on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, that Bible verse that says your gift will make room for you.
Mm-hmm.
I added to that. I said, your gift will make room for you only if you are consistent and don't quit. I mean, just think about it.
That's the formula.
Your gift is not going to make room for you. You have a gift. That's not how it works. You have to be working your gift for it to work for you.
Right.
And to go before you. Right? Like, you have to keep honing in on your craft, the gift that God gave you. You can't just sit there and say, I have a gift. Okay, so what are you doing with it?
Right.
So obviously you are being strategic and careful with yours. And I can appreciate the growth in which you have been going. I've been watching you on Facebook and Instagram, and to see that you've started your own podcast. Tell me about your podcast, man.
So in my bag with Backpack Jeff, where we connect with ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I wanted to have a podcast that was about people's journey to success or to whatever they believe is success while they're still on the journey. You know, you get some podcasts where, you know, a lot of the podcasts that I listen to have like these super famous people on there that sometimes we'll never get to talk to. We'll never get to reach these people. But there are some ordinary people who are doing some extraordinary things who we have readily access to that we don't even bother to have a conversation with them, or that we don't even bother to collaborate with them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so how can I provide information to people, make it entertaining, and then help other people tell their story? Because we all have a story. You know, you know the saying, we all have a story and somebody needs to hear it. So how can I help someone tell that story? And so that's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what, you know, in my bag with Backpack Jeff is. It's people who are in their bags. And I'm not talking about just financially. Like the financial part of it is too easy. I'm talking about spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, relationally. I want you to be in your bag in a couple of different areas, or in your bag in regards to poetry. Like we know that Christoph is in his bag, and when it comes to poetry, he can give you like that. I can't wait to have you on, because I know that there's going to be some things that you're going to tell me where I'm like, yo, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even think about that. How did you go? But it's because, number one, I didn't bother to ask the question. I didn't have the conversation with you, but now I'm going to get the opportunity to ask the question, to have the conversation with you, to ask you, how in the heck did you get a contact at the White House? How that I see Poet Life on Good Morning DC on this news? How is it that I see Poet Life on with Lisa Nichols? How is it that I see Poet Life, you know, touring and stuff like how how are you doing this? And again, it's about asking the question.
Right.
You got to be, you know, it's not about just asking the questions. It's also about asking the right questions.
Right.
You know what I mean? And be a student long enough to where you get an opportunity to ask the right questions. And I've been a student long enough. And so now on my podcast, what I want to do is I want to ask the right questions. I want to really tap into someone's story and ask them, how did you build what you built? And then also, let's just have a conversation about life, about success, about failures, you know, about your journey.
Right. Yeah. And that's why, you know, the format of this podcast is not super interviewee, you know, where I don't have a list of questions to run down. It is a great conversation that we're having, you know, and people are simply listening or watching. And so it makes it very comfortable. And that's why I'm comfortable to have a conversation with a Lisa Nichols, an international public speaker and inspirational person, and not be super nervous, because like you said, I'm in my bag. Now, if for our listeners who don't necessarily know what that means you're on your game,
Right.
you're in your lane, right? You're doing your thing, you know, right? So that's what we mean by being in your bag. So if you're listening and you just learned that, go ahead and use that, and go ahead and follow and listen to and watch Backpack Jeff in your bag with Backpack Jeff. And I'm excited to say that we are collaborating, where obviously you're seeing and listening that he is on the Poet Life podcast. And so a week from now, or a few days from now, I'll be on his podcast.
Yeah.
So there's different formats or different forms of collaboration, right? You can be collaborating on a poem, you know, you can be collaborating as it relates to your platforms that you both have, right? Leveraging, you know, each other's audience. He's being introduced right now to my audience, and vice versa. I'll be introduced to his audience, right?
Yeah.
So it works. It's a win-win situation. It's a win-win situation, but so many people want to go alone, you know, and say, "Oh, this is mine." So I'm no, I'm not going to collaborate. I'm just going to do my thing, and I'm gonna win alone. I'd rather go with someone, even though I'm bringing my own value, right? I'm bringing my own platform. You know, I'm not giving up my equity, but to collaborate doesn't take anything away from you. It actually adds to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And I want folks to get it. I want poets to get that.
Listen, I look, we were having such a good conversation the other day, which is what made us do this. Man, I want poets to desperately get that too. It's, you know, there's more than enough space for all of us out here to operate. You don't have to be fearful of, and I think that, you know, sometimes we get fearful of, oh, am I as good as this person? Is this person going to outshine me? Or, you know, I have these resources. Why do I? And I had to work for them. Why do I want to provide them to someone else the quote unquote easy way? You
Mhm.
know, I built this following, and now someone else is going to capitalize off my following. I just got done doing a live, and that's one of the things that him and I talked about is that, you know, you got to share the sugar. You know what I mean? Like there's, just because one person follows you doesn't mean that they won't follow me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just there's enough for us all out here, and we can all, you know, be successful in our own rights. Because here's the thing about it: Christoph doesn't want the same things that Jeff wants.
Right.
Jeff doesn't want the same thing that Christoph wants. You know what I mean? We don't all define success in the same fashions. You know, some people define success as big house, big car. You know what I mean? No, you know, single bachelor life or bachelorette life. Other people define success as I got a ranch house, I got 4 kids, I got some dogs in the back. You know, other people define success as, hey, I'm living in this nice loft, or you know, other people define success as, you know, hey, I got my family here, and this is what makes me successful. This is what, you know, we survive, you know, and we live together, and we're happy. You know what I mean? That's what success is. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about this, man, is that we can all win. It's
Right.
not, it's not going to be something like, I'm not trying to take from you. I would hope that you're not trying to take from me. There's room for all of us in here. And if we do something, like we can do something special. And I'm telling you, the things that can be accomplished, you know, they say your finger is strongest when it's balled up in a fist, because they all come together.
Right.
Got to come together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely, man. So what's on the horizon for Backpack Jeff?
Woo! So backpackjeff.com is officially up. Backpacks are coming soon. The merchandise is coming soon. The Win Journals. Win Journals is basically an opportunity for, so I believe in a metaphor called transferring the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And transferring the fire is about elevating and transferring your level of excitement day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out. Like when the first year, when the beginning of the year started, everyone was excited about, oh, this year's going to be it. This year's going to be it. But you know, they say by February the 1st, 85% of New Year's resolutions have already died.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because they haven't transferred the fire. So the the win journal is the opportunity for you to write down your wins every week. What did you accomplish this week? Write them down every single week. And so what that will force you to do is, number one, it'll force you to do weekly evaluations and say to yourself, okay, how come this week I only got 4 wins when I usually get about 7 to 10 wins every week? What's going on? Where did my focus go? And now you can say to yourself, okay, let me refocus and get myself ready for next week so that I can get my normal amount of wins. Okay, cool, excellent, do that. Now, this also gives you the opportunity to remind yourself that there's going to be something that's going to happen to you in the course of the year that's going to get you down. It's going to get you a little bit sidetracked and distraught, or you may go into a slight state of depression or what have you. But the win journal is an opportunity for you to look back and say, hold on, wait. I had a successful open with Chrisette Michelle. She followed me. I gained 100 new followers this week. I gained 50 new subscribers on YouTube. I went to the gym 5 days this week. I'm doing no spend January. I didn't eat out at any restaurants. I'm actually accomplishing way more than I think I'm accomplishing. One of the things that people do is they count only their big victories and they don't count their small ones. Mm-hmm. Like, I bought a house, I bought a car, I got a raise, I got a promotion, I saved X amount of dollars. Those are all good, but we don't get to have those all the time. But what we do get to have are the smaller things. I finished my work week with my emails on 0. I went to the gym. The house I kept the house clean this week. You know what I mean? All of those little things that we do on a daily basis, we got to start, calculating those things. And that's what the win journal is. It's an opportunity for you to write down those small wins that, that you have on a weekly basis. So expect that the win journal will be out. The backpack will be out. I just finished the logo, just got the logo back, the final logo today. The shirts are on their way. I am working, me and my brand manager, we are working on putting the logo on these backpacks with a quote from one of my poems. Mm-hmm. So we're working on that as well. We're working on getting like a brooch. Is that what it's called? It's like a pin.
Yeah. Well, I would just call it a pin because a man. Well, I'm not gonna say a man. Well, anyway, I don't want to speak on the gender and get in trouble. I would call it a pin.
Okay, a pin. Yeah, I'm working on getting the pins so that, you know what I mean. I want to put them there, and I want to put them on the straps of the backpacks. So we're working on that. But what you can expect from me immediately is I'm writing a super amazing poem in collaboration with Special Olympics and Hasbro to present this special award to this school in Ward 5 in DC. That's what's coming right now. The podcast is always going to be there. I drop content, daily. Absolutely in the mornings and in the evenings. So I'm always making sure that I'm visible. And when the world opens back up, Can We Talk? The open mic series is going to be back. I wait for Can We Talk? The open mic series, man. It's amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Have you jumped into Clubhouse and created your plan for that?
You know what? So I just finished doing my Clubhouse bio. So I am ready to get onto Clubhouse, to get into some of those open mics that's on there and see what that's like. I would love to, I got some followers on Clubhouse, but everything, I would love to have those followers on Instagram, you know what I mean? Or on YouTube, because that's where a lot of the traffic is going. That's where I'm most visible at is on Instagram. But no, I haven't got on Clubhouse yet, but what you and I just talked about a couple minutes ago before we started this.
Whew. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah,
stroke.
And that's
And
another thing about collaboration.
I was about to say, I wouldn't have known that without
another thing. Yeah, that's another thing about collaboration. We're able to bounce ideas off of each other. You know, two brains are better than one all the time. You know, so I look forward to, you know, our continuous conversation, man. And because, you know, winning can be lonely if you're not winning with a team, you know, or a circle, you know. And so and it's no fun. You know what I'm saying? Winning is no fun when you're winning alone.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. It's better that, man, there's no reason in becoming successful and having no one to share it with.
Indeed.
Was it as friends or significant other? You know,
Right.
when
Yeah.
we get to where we want to get to, man, I want to say, look, Christoph, man, I remember when I was on your podcast, I remember when you were on mine, and you know, we were again along the journey. That's what these are about. You know, we want to catch people along the journey.
Yeah. What I'm excited about when it comes to podcasting is this is, and a lot of people don't look at it like this, but like this is documentation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're documenting life right now. We're not just having a conversation, right? The time period that we're in, we can say 20, 30 years from now, this happened, you know, around 2021, 2020, 2021, when the craziness was happening with the pandemic. And, you know, Chris did a pandemic, a COVID cut for his beard, you know. You know what I'm saying? You know, yeah, man. So I get excited to be able to tell my grandkids, Granddad, I mean, you know, Granddad, you look, well, they're telling me, Granddad, you look young in your podcast, you know, you know, and to know that this will be in the world forever,
right,
is crazy to me.
That's legacy.
That's huge, man. You know what I mean? And to know also that in 20 to 30 years, the poetry community and poetry industry will be better because of you and your platform.
Yeah, I can definitely say the same about you, because I don't know someone else who is pushing the pushing poetry at a more aggressive pace than you are.
Yeah.
Like to see what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I'm gonna save some for this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, you're setting the bar so high for anyone. You know what I mean? Like you're providing opportunities and platforms for people that they otherwise wouldn't have, and then you're also setting the bar for what's to come after. You know what I mean? You can't talk poetry without talking poet life. You know what I mean? That's where it's headed to. Like I remember you said, you know, you want, you know, to people to drive down the road, and you can't get on 495 without seeing the poet life, you know, decal on somebody's car.
Listen, man. Listen. I and I'm not gonna hold you much longer, man, but just being in Clubhouse in these rooms, you know, a lot of times you can feel like, you know, you're the smartest person in your circle sometimes, you know, when it comes to, I don't know, entrepreneurship, you know, whatever it might be. But when you're in those rooms, man, it's like, man, there's so many intelligent, rich, wealthy, you know, wise people in here. And so I literally just got on Clubhouse yesterday. Yesterday evening. Yeah, my uncle, I'm an Android person, right? So my uncle gave me his old cell phone, iPhone. And so because I keep hearing about what I'm missing out on Clubhouse. And so I said, I got to get on there. It's not on Android yet, so I need to figure out how to get on it. So got the iPhone, got on there, and I ended up in this group full of millionaires, and they were being generous to the point where they were allowing small businesses and people with just ideas to pitch their idea or small business for an investor to invest in their business. And I'm just sitting there listening to people's shaky voice, scared, nervous, and one dude got $150,000 for his business. I'll have the check for you tomorrow. I'm on there like, so I'm on there like, and one young girl just had an idea for like these nail things or something like that. I don't know anything about them, but yeah, I'll DM you. Look out for my message. I have some resources for you. I'm like, oh man, I have to study Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I have to study it. And I bring it up because I got the opportunity to pitch, but it was like 3:30 in the morning. I'm learning that people don't sleep when it comes to Clubhouse.
They are.
I didn't sleep all night. I went to sleep at 4:00 in the morning. And I bring this up to say, I pitched the Poet Life, and I get it. Not everybody understands the direction. And I got great feedback on how I can better pitch. I don't think I was prepared I didn't know they were going to pick me, you know what I'm saying? Especially at 3:30 in the morning, Yeah. So, but they gave me great feedback. But what I'm saying is, it's always good to have somebody that you can aspire to learn from. And you not be the person that's always being tapped on the shoulder. Hey, can you tell me how to do this, do that? Right. Like, always have somebody to go to learn from.
Absolutely. And it really feels good to be poured into sometimes, as opposed to feeling like you always got to.
Yes. So I appreciate, all of what you said, man. But I'm always on a mission to learn how I can do things better. If you look from season 1 to season 2, season 3, like night and day. I recently just added the TV in the background, and it's always, how can I make it better? How can I enhance it? And I'm looking at the screen right now, how I can make it better for the next episode.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's what you've been doing, going from 4 years. 4 years. That's, people been in the poetry community for 10, 15, 20 years and haven't done as much as you've done.
All about consistency, man. I wouldn't have been able to do it without consistency. I mean, to be completely honest, that's the thing that separates a lot of people, is consistency.
Yeah, even in a plan. Most definitely. Look, folks, this is just part 1. This is just part 1. Part 2 is going to be on In My Bag with Backpack Jeff. Yes, so you'll have part 1 on the Poet Life podcast, but you'll have part 2 on Backpack Jeff's podcast, In My Bag with Backpack Jeff. And I'm excited. I haven't been the guest I haven't ever. No, I've been on the podcast before, but I'm always, the host. And so I'm excited to be the guest. And I look forward to, sharing what I know. I don't know much, but I'm excited to collaborate and continue to work with Backpack Jeff. Everybody, I know if you're watching, you can see his Instagram, but if you're listening, go to Backpack Jeff, at Backpack Jeff on Instagram, and follow him, man. He has a lot going on. And as you can tell from the beginning to end of this podcast, you can see his trajectory, where he's come from and where he's going. So it's he's going to stay consistent, and we know what consistency produces. So just know that we have a lot to do, and we're excited about it. If you could leave something with the folks, Backpack Jeff, what would you say?
If I could leave something, what would I say? I would. Let me see. You know what? I would say winners write history, losers become a part of the story. Win inside.
What was that last part? You broke up a little bit.
Winners write history, losers become a part of the story. Always be on the winner's side. Yes,
sir. That's good. That's good. That's a great way to end this podcast. Well, for it to be a dash, because again, there's a part 2. So everybody have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week. I don't know what day you're watching this or listening to this, but just know that consistency and collaboration will take you a long way. It's the Poet Life Podcast. If you need more information about what we're doing, go to thepoetlife.com. If you need some gear, go to poetlifegear.com and follow us on Instagram and everywhere at The Poet Life. It's the Poet Life. We appreciate you. You all have a good night. Backpack Jeff, I look forward to talking to you soon, man.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way, find a way. Ain't got no time now. You in the way, I'm doing fine now. Out of my business. Find a way, find a way.